Ramchandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchara Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. So we're continuing reading Sri Manah Siksha from Raghunath Das Goswami. Last Sunday we read the first verse and explained a few words, and today we'll start with the second, but still first we would like to chant again also the first verse, which is very important. Of course all the verses are important, but especially the first one is very much important for the sadhakas, and so therefore we chant it again, and it's a good verse to remember and recite daily or often, yeah. Guru Goste Gostalishu Sujanabu Suragane Samantra Sinam Nivrajana Vayu Vadvanda Sharane Sadadambam Hitva Kururatim Apurvamatitaram Aye Santar Pratas Chatubhir Adhiya Chetrita Padai. Oh my dear brother, my foolish mind, taking hold of your feet, I humbly pray to you with sweet words. Please give up all pride and quickly develop deep loving attachment for the spiritual master. See Braj Dham, the residents of Braj, the Vaishnavas, the Brahmanas, your Diksha mantras, the holy names of the Supreme Lord, and the shelter of Sri Radha Krishna, the eternally youthful divine couple of Braj. So, Raghunath Das Goswami addressing his mind and urging his mind to take shelter of the spiritual master and respect the Vaishnavas, the Brijvasis, the Brahmanas, take shelter of the divine couple by chanting also the holy names and Diksha mantras, Gayatri mantras, giving up all pride, always being in a humble mood. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has given a commentary known as Bhajan Darpan, so which is helpful in understanding the words of Raghunath Das Goswami. Of course, just by itself, the verses are quite clear, and the devotees who engage in devotional service under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master and the disciplic succession, they can appreciate these verses and understand these verses. But at the same time, the process is there that we hear, the association of the Vaishnavas And we also try to see what the previous acharyas have told. And that is broader, that will broaden our understanding, our consciousness. So now text number 2. Nadharmam Shudigana Niruktam Kilakuru Brajadara Krishna Pachora Paricharyam Ihatanu Sachi Sonum Nandisharapati Sutatve Guruvaram Mukunda Preshtatve Smara Param Ajasram Nano Manah. Translation. O my dear mind, please do not perform either the routine religious activities resulting in piety, dharma, or the irreligious activities resulting in sin, adharma, as mentioned in the Shrutis or Vedas. Rather, you should render profuse loving service to Sri Radha Krishna Jugal here in Braj. For the Shrutis have ascertained them to be the highest principle of supreme worship and the supreme absolute truth. Always meditate on Satyanandana Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is richly endowed with the complexion and sentiments of Srimati Radhika, as none different from Sri Nandanandana, and always remember the spiritual master as most dear to Sri Mukunda. So here we'll discuss the word for word. So there are two processes actually of analyzing the verse according to the acharyas. One is in order, which usually Prabhupada was always doing, na dharma, na adharman. So that is the direct word for word translation. And then there is another process which is known as anvay, which is taking the most important word in the verse, and so the starting, and then explaining the different words, so in a logical way. So that is known as anvay. Basically, just like in here, so the first verse should be na dharman, na adharman. So not dharma and not adharma. But if you just try to see by this word for word, so we may not immediately understand what is it all about in this verse. So therefore anvay sometimes is used, so that the person who is studying, he may immediately understand the most important point, what is it all about. So therefore here in the anvay, which is mentioned here in this translation and explanation, and the first verse is Manah. Manah means own mind. It is all about the mind, as here we know, Sri Manah Siksha, instructions to the mind. So here again, and just like in the previous verse also, so these are verses addressing the mind. So therefore here in the anvay, so first the mind is mentioned here, Manah, O my mind. Kila, indeed, na kuru, do not perform. And then dharman, so that means religious activities. Of course, one may then question, what? We should not perform religious activities? So that is known as Purva Paksha. Many times you can see in the Acharya's commentaries, they're already preparing for persons to object to whatever they are saying. And therefore Purva Paksha is there. So the explanation is there. Or we can see, so somebody might be, as I'm saying, that na kuru dharma. So we shouldn't perform religious activities. So one may question then, well, what is this? We should follow dharma. So why are you saying we should not follow dharma? So then the explanation is given. Because actually we should perform dharma, but there are different kinds of dharma. So there's the ordinary dharma that is following religious principles. That has been explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur also in his Jaiva Dharma very nicely. And so he has given a nice, here bhajan darpan, a mirror to show how to do the bhajan. So religious activities should be performed, but it should be for the pleasure of the Lord. And that is known then as Nitya Dharma or Sanatan Dharma, serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead with knowledge also, properly situated in spiritual life. Whereas other persons, they are doing Naimitika Dharma, so that is occasional Dharma and referring more to the body. So many persons, they are religious and they try to read the scriptures and follow the scriptures, but they are not fully understanding or able to dedicate themselves to the Supreme Lord. So that is then known as Naimitika Dharma. Even following Vana Ashram, if it is not done for the pleasure of Krishna, then it is known as Naimitika Dharma. That is occasional, that is temporary. It is not permanent. Whereas service to Krishna, that is known as Nitya Dharma, Vastav Dharma, real Dharma. So Dharma means religion, but it may also mean the nature of something. And just like, for example, we have water. So the Dharma of water, that is to be liquid, it is flowing. And usually water is supposed to be sweet. We prefer sweet water rather than salty water. So actual dharma is to serve Krishna. Therefore, Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, at the end, to Arjun, Sarva Dharman Parijajya Mam Ekam Saram Vaja Aham Tam Sarva Pabebhyo Mukshayishyami Mahasuchaha. So give up all kinds of dharma. Krishna himself is saying, give up all dharma. So that refers to Naimitika Dharma. And you simply surrender to me. You do what I want you to do. So that is real dharma. And so the acharyas have explained that. As Krishna himself is explaining, Mahaprabhu is explaining, and the acharyas have explained. So Raghunath Das Goswami is explaining to his mind, in other words, explaining to us also. Even Rupa Goswami has explained in the second verse of Dhrupadeshamrita. You remember? Second verse? Atya Prajapaniyamagraha. Okay, good. Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalpaniyam Agraha. So even Niyam Agraha can have two meanings. Means following the rules and regulations just for the sake of following, not understanding the purpose. And the other meaning is that neglecting. If it is according to Sanskrit, so Niyamagraha, if you separate Niyam and Agraha, then it can have two meanings. One is following the rules just for the sake of following, just strictly, but not understanding the purpose. And the other one is neglecting following the rules. So both should be actually discarded, and one has to have the proper balance. So similarly here, na dharmam, na adharmam. So instructing the mind that you should not be engaged in just religious activities, just for the sake of the common man. That, for example, you can see many times in Bharatvarsha, India, somebody will say, yes, I'm following Varna Ashram, I'm a Brahmana, but then he's not engaging in Brahminical activities, so that is not a true Brahmana. And sometimes some persons are doing religious activities, and but then they expect something in it. Okay, we have to offer something to God, but then they pray to God, please. They give 5 rupees and then they pray, please, my dear Lord, I need, first of all, I need a good wife. And then after, okay, getting married now, I need a good house, I need this or that. So that is, of course, better than not serving God, or at all, better than being completely materialistic, but that is also actually not the real process of devotional service. But as Rupa Goswami is saying, Anyavilashita shonyam jnana karma navaritam anukulina Krishna nushirinam bhakti uttamam. So it should be done as Krishna likes, as Krishna wants, Krishna nushirinam, for his pleasure, not expecting anything in return. That is pure devotional service. So he's saying to the mind, so don't just simply perform this ordinary dharma. And also then, adharma na. And you should definitely not be engaged in adharma, in sinful activities. So that is even worse, to engage in sinful activities. Doing activities like, for example, of course, most sinful is eating meat, but even gambling or drinking and all these activities. So these are sinful activities. It is mentioned in Bhagavatam, in the scriptures, especially eating meat, gambling, and then drinking, taking intoxicant and illicit activities. So these have to be given up. These are sinful activities. And one has to restrain oneself by all means. And then only there's a possibility of engaging in dharma. So first of all, sinful activities have to be given up, adharma, by all means. And then one can be engaged in performing dharma. But then ultimately we have to come to Sanatan Dharma. One has to come to bhakti, to devotional service, and even there to pure devotional service, free from any tinges of jnana or karma. So niruktam means it is mentioned shruti gana. Shruti means refers to that which has to be heard, which is there in the Vedas. Gana means a group, so means all the Vedic literatures. So there was one Veda that was divided in 4 by Vyasadeva, and then other literatures are there. May also be smriti, to be remembered. So they have to be all consulted. We have to consult the Vedic literatures, but under the guidance of the spiritual master who will tell what is most important. So in the Vedic literature sometimes dharma is recommended, which may not be pure devotional service, with the purpose of elevating somebody from one platform to a higher platform. Therefore even the Puranas are mentioned. 18 Puranas are there, 6 for those in the mode of goodness, 6 for those in the mode of passion, and 6 for those in the mode of ignorance. So, and of course the Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. For those who are pure in heart, for those who are not envious. That is specifically mentioned in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Nirmatsaram satam. So this transcendental literature is for those who are saintly, satam, nirmatsaram, who are without envy. But at the same time you can see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Amala Purana, the different incarnations are mentioned also, and different personalities who may not be pure devotees, because it is not easy to immediately come to the platform of pure devotional service. Therefore one has to follow rules and regulations, one has to act according to Vana ashram, but always keeping Krishna or Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, in the center, and try to gradually come to the highest stage of pure devotional service. So therefore here, Param, so here explained as Radha, but the supreme activity, Tanu, perform, Prachur, Prachur means, Prachur Bhava, Prachur means profuse, plenty of, Prachur Matra, Paricharyam, Paricharya means deity worship, service or deity worship. And because it is not easy to immediately see Krishna within the heart and then internally serve Krishna, so therefore we have to approach the deities in the temple. So therefore here, prachur, profusely, paricharyam, you do seva. You do profuse seva, not just a little seva, like we can see many times. Some people, they believe in God and they accept the deities are there in the temple and they are God, yes, and so then they come to the temple, do a little seva and that's all. Or even at home, in the morning they offer one incense and maybe one ghee lamp also. And then maybe they'll offer some makkan misri, because they've heard Krishna likes makkan and misri. And maybe one or two flowers also. But then the whole day, they're doing whatever they want, and they may eat whatever they want, even without offering. But those who are more understanding, so they will do more. And those who are most intelligent, so they will devote themselves fully to the deities. And whatever they eat, no, they will not eat, but they will first offer to Krishna. So prachur paricharyam, Radha Krishna prachur paricharyam. So one should serve Krishna profusely, every day, from early morning, as it is there in the process of deity worship, waking up the deities, then do mangalati, then do puja, then should be breakfast, and when Krishna has his breakfast, then we can take our breakfast. That is a principle in deity worship. We cannot eat anything before the deities have eaten anything, before the deities have eaten something. The only thing you can take is some water. Of course, if somebody is sick, and then they may take some hot tea before, but preferably we should first give something to the Lord. So that is a rule. So Radha Krishna prachur paricharyam. That is very important. Braja, in Braja Dham. So Krishna is always in Braj. And so therefore, wherever one is, one has to be remembering the holy Dham. And therefore in the process of deity worship, before worshipping the deities, one will remember the holy Dham. Before worshipping Radha Krishna, one will remember Braja Dham. Before worshipping Gaunitai, one will remember Gaur Dham. And then one can worship the deities nicely. Ajashram, always we should be engaged in worshipping the deities, and then Sachi Sunu. So Sachi is the mother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sachi Sunu means the son of Mother Sachi, that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one should smara, one should remember and meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchinandana Gaura Hari, who is not different from Radha Krishna. And therefore specifically is also it is mentioned here Nandiswara Pati Sutatve, who is actually the son of the master of Nandagram. The master of Nandagram, Nandishwar, that is Nandishwar Pati. So Nandishwar refers to Nandagram, the hill there, and the master means Pati, Sutatve, so the son of the master of Nandagram. So that refers to Krishna. So one should remember that Satchinandana Gaurari is not different from Krishna. And in the age of Kali, so one has to take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in order to be able to advance nicely in spiritual life and in order to be able to enter into a Braj Bhav and worship Radha and Krishna. Of course, there are 4 sampradayas, and all the acharyas in the sampradayas, especially present acharyas, so they have, even before Mahaprabhu's appearance, like for example Ramanujacharya, Nibarkacharya, although they appeared before Mahaprabhu, but they were able to have darshan of Mahaprabhu. And they had come to Navadvip, and then they had darshan of Mahaprabhu. And so they could understand that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord and He will appear. But Mahaprabhu, specifically also to Ramanujacharya, He told him, so as He had revealed Himself to him, so He told him, so you should simply preach about Dasya Bhav, servitorship towards Lakshmi Narayan, because he was staying in South India and accustomed to worship Lakshmi Narayan or Sitaram. So you continue that preaching, don't say anything about me, don't say anything about Radha Krishna, no, not now. I will come and I will introduce the worship of Radha and Krishna. So he knew Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu told him not to speak anything about him, because it was not the time yet. So he yet had to come, and then he himself was going to introduce the Yugadama, the chanting of the holy names, the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And specifically the worship of Radha Krishna in Braj Bhav, following the Brijbasis. So, and even now, so the acharyas in the different sampradayas, the bona fide acharyas in the different sampradayas, they know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Kali Yuga avatar, and they respect him, but they follow their process of worship, and in this way they may also attain their destination. But they have to recognize Mahaprabhu and show respect. They may not fully worship him because it is not their transcendental nature to be devoted fully to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One time, many years ago, how many years ago? Let me see. 34 years ago. What's your age?
26.
Oh, you were not here yet. Oh, you were somewhere, but not in this body. You too? And you too? Okay. 34 years ago, I went one time to South India. 34 or maybe 33. Maybe it was 87. Yeah, I was a few times. So one time when I was there, so actually I had some Shilas with me, Govardhan Shila and Mani Singha Shila. I went to South India, visiting the holy places, and yeah. And then I was in Sri Rangam, where Ramanujacharya was also present, before, of course, long before, and the followers of him are there. And Ranganath temple is there, famous temple, in Sri Rangam. And Vishnu lying on Anantashesh and being served by Lakshmi Devi. Famous temple, very opulent. And there are 7 walls there surrounding the temple, built by the different alvas, the great saints of South India. So I was staying there. That time was brahmachari. So I stayed there. One devotee had come with me. I was staying in one of the ashrams there. And so we had some nice experience. And then my Govardhan Shila, every day I was taking up my Govardhan Shila and doing puja. And then the sadhus from there, they also came and they said, Giriraj Maharaj. And then they were doing parikram of Giriraj Maharaj, folding their hands. So everyone knows about Giriraj and have respect for Giriraj, even in different sampradayas. And similarly also they have respect for Mahaprabhu and they know him. But their love goes towards Sitaram and Lakshmi Narayan. But they respect Mahaprabhu. So I was talking to the Mahant there, who was a very wonderful Vaishnav on the Sri Sampradaya. And he was a special personality. He was a little chubby, but very kind, and we had nice prasad, and we could stay there free. And he had a little Goshala. He was doing the seva early morning himself, getting up early. And actually, he was not lying down at any time. He was a kind of yogi also. He was bhakta, but he was a yogi. We're doing bhakti yoga, but we don't have to do kind of yoga like some of the yogis are doing. But he was a special personality, so he was sitting rather than lying down, maybe 10 o'clock at night. And then he was sitting in yoga posture, closing his eyes, and then sleeping, or half sleeping, not fully sleeping if you're sitting, for maybe 4 hours till 2 o'clock, and then he was getting up.
Without any support?
Yeah, I think he had some support, yeah. And so, yeah, I had heard about that, so I was wondering, and I had to go to the bathroom, middle of the night, and I was looking, I saw he was not lying down. You find many special personalities in Bharatvarsha. If you are respectful, then you can see and appreciate other persons, and you see there are many wonderful Vaishnavas, also in the other sampradayas. And then, so we are taking lunch together, and after lunch, we're talking philosophy a little bit. And so he was a well-known and Sant Vaishnava. He had maybe 5,000 disciples. And he was actually from northern India, but he went there, South India. And then we were discussing about Mahaprabhu. And so they understood that we are followers of Mahaprabhu belonging to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And he was also saying, I respect very much Mahaprabhu. And then he was glorifying also ISKCON. He had heard about Prabhupada, that he was going all over the world preaching, and he very much respected and appreciated the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya of Srila Prabhupada, and especially Mahaprabhu. But then he was saying, but my heart belongs to Ram, Sri Ram. And so we were worshipping Sitaram. But they will recognize Mahaprabhu. So, and still they can go to, so if one is respectful towards Mahaprabhu, then, but following their acharyas, then they may go to the ultimate abode. So in their case, to Ayodhya or to Vaikuntha. So other sampradayas, so they may be also there, but in order to go to Krishna, even there are some Brijvasis, they, Vallabhacharya Sampradaya, so, which may not fully engage in the service of Mahaprabhu, but at least have to respect Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, they will not be able to attain perfection. But in order to rapidly advance, and of course those in the Brahmavada Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, so in our line they will take full shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by his mercy one can quickly advance towards the highest destination. Of course, which may still take some time quickly, doesn't mean that in just 3-4 days or 1 month or 2 months we can become pure devotee. Still it will take some time, and one has to be enthusiastic, fixed, and very, very, very patient. So, how many years you're chanting?
Chanting since 5, 6 years.
5, 6 years, and you?
Same.
Also same,
But
okay.
In Vrindavan,
Yeah.
chanting 16 rounds chanting.
16 rounds
since 3 years.
3 years, okay.
Almost.
All right, yes,
2.5 years.
okay. Tears are coming from your eyes while chanting? No. Yes, it will take time to come to the highest stage. But at least one should try one's best. And so one should meditate on Satchidananda Gaura Hari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because by his mercy it is a little easier to come closer to Krishna, by his mercy. So therefore, we should meditate on Mahaprabhu. And by his mercy then we can meditate on Krishna. And then in the last line, and then after Guru Varam, so the spiritual master is mentioned, Mukunda Preshtatve. Mukunda Preshta, so it's most dear to Mukunda. Mukunda means Krishna, the giver of liberation. Mukti Datta, Mukunda, so may I refer to Krishna who gives liberation, Mukti Datta. There's one devotee here. He's a Bengali, but he was staying in a long time also in Delhi. Also here he stayed for some time. You know him, Mukti Datta? He's here just now. He sings very, very beautiful. Yeah. Mukti Datta, his name. So Mukti Datta, he is giving mukti. That is Krishna, Mukunda.
He's beautiful, you said?
What Mukti Datta is a nice brahmachari who is singing beautiful.
Okay, singing.
Yeah. A devotee is beautiful also, yeah. And singing very beautiful. Yeah. Delhi also, yeah. He stayed here also. At one time we started some also bhajans in the Samadhi. So I felt we should do that many years ago. Yeah. For the 25th anniversary of establishing the Krishna Bharam Mandir in the year 2000. So that year we started also kirtan in the bhajans in the Samadhi, Prabhupada Samadhi. And we did that the whole year. And that time Mukti Datta was there also, part of the team, chanting bhajans. Long time ago. 20 years ago. You're not born yet, huh? You're just 5 years old, right? And you 4 or 3? 3, okay. Small. Yeah. Now you're grown up and I'm an old man. Okay, what to do? Time. Yeah, so we should remember Guru Varam. So the spiritual master who is very dear to Krishna. And as we know, actually first you have to take shelter of the spiritual master and then we can take shelter of Mahaprabhu. So, and usually the spiritual master, so he will guide the devotee and he will, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so the spiritual master is there, Diksha Guru, and then the previous acharyas are there, or those who are giving Siksha also, and including in that are the previous acharyas who give the explanations of the verses by the great personalities. And then sometimes they give the explanation of the explanation. Just like we can see the first commentator of the Bhagavatam, that was Sridhar Maharaj, Sridhar Swami. And then afterwards others came, and in our Sampradaya, and Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. They gave further explanation, and then according to time, place and circumstances, the present Acharya gives some explanation, just Srila Prabhupada. So he was consulting, when he was writing his purports to the Srimad Bhagavatam, he was consulting the tikas, the commentaries of the previous acharyas. Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sanatana Goswami especially, but then even some others may be there. So Prabhupada was doing the same thing. He had the commentaries of the acharyas, and then he was, according to that he was writing, but then according to time and the place and circumstances, seeing the situation in his world, then he was writing his commentary. So that is the system. And in this way, by the mercy of the Spiritual Master, one is able to matter very nicely. And Spiritual Master, so that means not only the Diksha Guru, but instructing Spiritual Master. Usually Diksha Guru is giving instructions also, but then at the same time we may sometimes also take instructions from other great Vaishnavas, especially than the previous Acharyas. So simply by reading this book, Manah Siksha, actually getting the Siksha from Raghunath, right? Manah Siksha means the Siksha of Raghunath Das Goswami. And so we should just understand when you're reading this book that now Raghunath Das Goswami is speaking. When we read a verse, so we should just be in that mood. Raghunath Das Goswami is speaking. And then we can pray to him. And then we can get his mercy and understand something. But in the conditioned state, then we have to take shelter, and therefore we're discussing also together. You have to take shelter. A lotus feet of the devotees were engaged in the service of the previous acharyas. Then they can give their realizations, and that will help one to realize the subject matter and to then advance nicely in devotional life. Even for example, Raghunath Das Goswami himself, so he was taking shelter. He was taking shelter of Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. So that he himself has explained in one of his other books, Vilap Kusumanjali, is taking shelter of Raghunath, of Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. Is the water still outside? Ashutosh!
Yes, bro.
You done?
Guruji is not done yet.
Acha. One devotee is doing some seva. So yes, actually we have to hear from the Spiritual Master and from the Vaishnavas. And then actually one can understand the subject matter. So simply hearing is not sufficient, but seva vritti, seva bhav should be there. One should be ready to serve. Have the mood, I should serve. And then not only one should have the mood that I should serve, but then one should serve also. And simply just trying to do seva, that is good also, but it is important to hear also from the Spiritual Master. In order to have the proper consciousness, in order to have the proper mood, in order to know exactly what to do and what not to do. So that one can advance. It is also mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami regarding the spiritual master. Pratamam tugurum pujya taschaiva mamartanam kurvan sirimavapnoti yanyata nishpalam bhavet. He is explaining that pratamam tu gurum pujya. So first of all, pratamam one has to worship the spiritual master. Tataschaiva mam archanam. Then afterwards one should worship me. Kurvan siddhim. So in this way one may attain perfection. Anyatha nishpalam bhavet. Otherwise there will be no, it will be fruitless. Nishphalam. Phalam means fruit. Nishphal means fruitless. So first of all one has to serve the spiritual master in his form as a sadhaka, and then so do seva, Vrishamba Guru seva with love and affection. And then especially as in deity worship one should remember the spiritual master being there in Navadvip and then also in Golok. And so we worship the spiritual master in the Acharya Sarup, and then we should remember him also in Golila and Krishna Lila. So it is important to follow, as explained by the Acharyas, and as explained in the scriptures and by Krishna himself. So we can see here in the instructions to the mind, both in the first verse and here in the second, so he's addressing the mind and urging him to take shelter of the spiritual master. In the first one, so the first verse is there. Guru goste, gostalishu, Guru. So telling the mind, you remember Guru. You should have rati. You should have some affection for the spiritual master. So that has to be there. And then affection for the Brijvasis, respect the Brahmanas and so on. If affection is there for the spiritual master and one is following his instructions, then the affection for Mahaprabhu and for Radha Krishna, that will come then also automatically. So and here in the second also, so the point is made. So but here the important point is that we have to remember Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and then in this way, by his mercy, one can clearly understand what to do and what not to do. And then one can engage in the service of Mahaprabhu. Any question?
Prabhuji, so when Brajendra Nandan Shyamsundar disappeared or left.
Yes, when Brajendananda Shyamsundar left this planet, yes.
And then Vasudeva Krishna.
Yeah, so Brajendananda became Aprakat and then Vasudeva Krishna became Prakat.
So then along with flute and other things, the features also changed a little bit, like because the curly hair and then the like Kasturi Tilak and different Tilak appeared and something like that also happened? Or
yeah, so when Krishna, Yashodananda becomes Aprakat, then some of the things which belong to Krishna in Braj only, they disappear. The flute is not there with Vasudeva Krishna Dvakadish. He doesn't have a flute.
Mathura also.
No, no flute. Only in Vrindavan he has the flute. The flute is here. The peacock feather
Makeup.
is left. Makeup?
Yeah, makeup like tilak. Like
Gopi
Yashoda
dolls.
Maiya used to put tilak in Braj.
Yeah.
So in Mathura, he's putting it himself.
Yeah, himself or the brahmanas are applying,
Okay.
giving blessings.
Different mood, different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually still even in Mathura he puts on yellow dhoti. So he likes that yellow dhoti. Because he's still remembering Radharani.
But he's Vyogini. I mean,
What?
He's
He's Vyog.
Vyog.
Yeah, he's also feeling separation. In Mathura he was feeling so much separation. And therefore he sent Uddhav also one time. He was feeling separation and then he was telling Uddhav that you should go to Braj and you should console the Brijvasis, the gopis. And then in this way actually also showing him who are the greatest devotees. And so, but he was telling him, he didn't tell him that, but he was saying you should go and console the Brijvasis and you can see also their love. And then, yes, you can come back and then you can tell me how they're doing. That will be some relief for me also. So you please kindly do that. Nobody else I can send because nobody else understands me as good as you are understanding me. So then Uddhav went and so he saw the Brijvasis, Nanda Baba and Maria Yashoda and so still Matharesh is there and so it's not different from Krishna, but there's a difference there also. So the mood is changed to some extent. So opulence is there and so he's not playing the flute. And then he's not having the peacock feather. And he's not performing Ras Leela with anybody in Mathura. So it changes a little bit.
And probably body shape is curly in Braj, but
Body shape is curly, his hairs are
the
curly.
hairs are curly, body is also
Triband.
Triband.
Tribang Lalit Shamasunda, that is in Braj.
So, but outside.
But outside he's straight. Braj is like this and looking towards Radharani and putting his head almost at Radharani's feet. Tribang Lalit, but in Mathura and Dwarka is straight, is becoming the king. He's straight. His crown is straight. His speaking is straight. His looking is straight. In Braj everything is crooked. Tribang Lalit, the crown is also not straight. It is true. It is not straight. Sometimes towards Radharani, or then he has two parts, one bigger and one smaller. And then he's also speaking not always the truth, but whatever he's speaking is the truth. At the same time he's lying also. But that is the truth also. And then his looking is also not straight. Speaking to his parents, but then he's looking also there, Radharani, from the corner of the eye. Maybe one eye and the other one is looking there. Yeah. So Krishna is a little different. Yeah, but the most complete form is in Braj and most wonderful. In Mathura, there's some opulence is there, so there's some change there. But Mathuresh is perfect. Even more perfect than Dwarkadish, but most perfect is Krishna. So they are perfect. Krishna, the super perfect. But Mathuresh is more perfect and Krishna is most perfect. So, and actually Krishna in Braj is also most opulent, but that is hidden by the sweetness. So some difference is there. Okay.
Prabhuji, how can we meditate on Guru's form? Means Krishna Leela, Gaur Leela.
Yeah.
How can we meditate?
Yes.
Because we have not seen.
We have not
the
seen
Swarup.
now. Yeah. Yes. How to meditate on the form of the Spirit Master? in Govardhan, in Navadvip, or in Krishna Dham, in Golok Dham. So some indications are given, like it is mentioned, Pratashimam Navadvipe Dinitam Dibujam Gurum. Smaritannama Purvakam, yes, we should meditate on the spiritual master there, in youthful body, in Navadvip, situated at the feet of Panchatattva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dvinetram Dibujam Gurum. Dvinetra is a youthful form with 2 eyes and 2 arms. Varabhaya Prajanchantam, very peaceful and bestowing var, blessings, fearlessness, peacefulness to the devotees. Smaritanam Purvakam. So we should meditate on him, having youthful form, golden complexion, and so engage in the service of Mahaprabhu. So in this way, by just reciting that, then some picture can be there, but the original form that we cannot see in the beginning. But some understanding is there that his youthful body engaged in the service of the Lord. And so some conception is there, because by this understanding. And then, just like in Guru Vastakam Nikunja Yono Ratikali Siddhaya Yali Bir Yukti Rapekshaniya. So is there in the Nikunja, the spiritual master, not in his form as we see him, that is the Acharya Swarup, but who is there in Nikunja Lila? Radha Krishna there, and then the Gopis and Manjaris. Not Madhu Yashoda, no Sudam, Sridam, Madhumangal, no servants. Only Srimati Radha and the Gopis and Manjaris are there. So then in this way we understand the spiritual master is there as a Gopi. So we can remember Radharani, we have seen the deity of Radharani, we have seen the deity of Lalita Vishaka, we have seen pictures of the Gopis and Manjaris. So in this way then we can meditate that the spiritual master has such a form as a Manjari. We may not see the actual Swarup, but some image can be there. Some remembrance can be there of a Gopi. So that should be there. And then, as we go on, then one day you can see also the form. But not so easily attained, very rare. Very few they can come to that high stage of pure devotional service. But we try our best. And so the conception is there, and we remember this conception of Guru in Gaur Lila and Krishna Lila.
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Prabhu, can you please repeat the verse on how to remember Shri Guru in his spiritual form, and where is this verse given? The Varabhai, Shri Guru.
Yes. So that is usually there in the deity worship book. And you may see any deity worship book, like we have in Vrindavan, or there's usually the mantra is there. Pratashimam Navadi Pedi Ritam Dibujam Gurum Varavyaparan Chatam Smaritannama Purvakam. So we remember the spiritual master. Prata, in early morning in Navadvip. And then so he has youthful form with 2 eyes and 2 arms, bestowing blessings and granting fearlessness. And so that is there in the Archana Padati. And for the spiritual master, all the verses are there, mentioned in the process of deity worship. So the book is there. Sri Guru Pramananda Premananda Palaparada Brajananda Pradnanda Sevman Yoja. So the spiritual master is there situated in Golok. And then engaging the disciple in the service, transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord in Braj. Radha Samaka Samsaktim Sakti Sangari Vasinim Tamaham Sarvamande Madhavasya Vigraham. So the spiritual master in Gopi form, Radha Samaka Samsaktim. So in the association of Radharani, in the form of a Sakhi, so we should remember the spiritual master who was taking full shelter. The spiritual master himself was taking full shelter of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. So the spiritual master is there, Nikunja Yuno Ratikali Siddhai, as a gopi, as a manjari. So the acharyas have explained and written also in their literatures. So evidence is there. That's it?
Yes.
Okay, so we should stop here.
Krishna Kirtana Gana Ratana Pano